Good morning to His Holiness
Yeah.
and to all our audience
Oh,
joining us today from various parts of the world. Today, amidst this pandemic, it's rather an auspicious day for me and all our audience to have with us His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, the living Buddha amongst us. His Holiness is rightly regarded as the manifestation of Avalokiteshvar, the Bodhisattva of compassion and the highest spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism. With great honor and prestige, I would like to greet His Holiness on behalf of Texas IIT Bombay and all our audience. His Holiness, you have always considered yourself as the son of India and have worked towards revival of ancient Indian wisdom. In the context of the same, I request you to enlighten us with your views on how we can combine ancient Indian knowledge with the modern education system and how we could give education a more moral touch and make it more impactful.
so firstly, namaste. Oh, I really feel or said very happy because now India, the over 1,000 years, the concept of ahimsa, concept of karuna, you see, in this country, you see, these two very important, also the concept develop. With that, eventually, you see, a lot of philosophy, and including logic. So later, those great Indian thinkers, philosophers, you see, they carry the message of ahimsa and karuna through logical way. So now, today, of course, I respect all tradition because I fully committed promotion of religious harmony and also the harmony in different people like that. So therefore, I respect all different tradition, but if we, through a logical approach, investigation, then the India's, you see, 1,000-year-old, this is concept, very logical. Now, practically, today's world really need ahimsa and karuna. If these two things, you see, remain, also they alive, and more people, you see, pay attention, then our world much sort of peaceful, much better. So therefore, and then India's also, you see, important thing is secular. So these concepts related with some dharma, but then not necessarily, you see, you should follow or believe dharma, religion. Whether believe certain things or not is up to individual. Generally, we really need the secular ethics. So these two things, ahimsa, karuna, is actually the secular ethics. And then the karuna and ahimsa is a further, also the, also the, then different religious tradition, different philosophy is involved. So now, today, I feel great honor to speak with people who actually belong this country. So we are actually follower or student of this ancient Indian thought. I always describe in 1,000 years ago, you see, you are our guru. We are chela. You see, we learn from India. Now, the 7th century, the Tibetan king, he married with Chinese princess. And also, firstly, Chinese or the emperor introduced Buddhism in Tibet. But the Tibetan king, Songtsen Gampo, he married with Chinese princess. And also, you see the most statue, important statue, Buddha statue, and picture, that one, you see, brought from China. But it seems, you see, the Tibetan emperor, Songtsen Gampo, 7th century, certainly he enjoyed that marriage, and but he feel too tired to learn Chinese letter, too complicated. So he, in spite marriage and very close link, he determined he want to develop our own script, Tibetan script, copy from Indian Devanagari, and alphabet like that. So then, 8th century, when you see Buddhism introduced Tibet by Nalendra master, Shanta Rakshita, that's 8th century. Again, Tibetan emperor, he decide Buddhism is concerned must bring from directly from India, not through China. And then the Tibetan emperor, Chisung Tezin, he invited at that time one of the top master of Nalendra, Shanta Rakshita, very old. But he invited. Then Shanta Rakshita reached Tibet. He advised to Emperor Chisung Tezin, since you have your own language, your own script, so now should translate from Sanskrit or from Pali, so on. So then, eventually, you see, also the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, very much or tradition, like Nalendra. We extensively use logical approach. So, the Nalanda tradition, even Buddha himself, you see, made clear, oh, my follower, monks, nuns, should not accept my teaching out of faith, but rather thorough investigation. So he, you see, show us the investigation, logical approach is important. So the Nalanda master, like Nagarjuna and Aryasanga and Digna, Dharmakirti, Chandakirti, Buddhapalita, all these Nalanda master, you see, their sort of way of thinking always investigate. Even Buddha's own word, if you find some difficult to accept because some illogical, then we have the right to reject Buddha's own word. Like Nagarjuna, reject some Buddha's own word. That's something great. So the concept of secular, some sort of what's the philosophical things or logical things which mentioned in Buddhist text, you should consider academic subject rather than just you say, oh, this is part of Buddhism or taught by Buddha, we must accept. Not that way. So therefore, you see, India's concept, the secular way. So consider all these subject as an academic subject, not religious subject. So religion, individual matter. But this knowledge is knowledge for everybody, particularly now today's world. These ancient Indian knowledge, based on karuna, ahimsa, these world need. So different religion, that's personal matter. But these concepts are something relevant for humanity. So I'm very, very happy having this meeting. And then half joke, over 1,000 years, we as a chela of Indian Guru. Now today, Indian Guru, I think, much neglected in this knowledge. So now, traditional Indian Gurus, chela, now have to act like Guru. So in any way, now, real sort of point is now today's world, lot of problem. Many problem, essentially, human beings, our own creation. You see, nobody want problem. You know why we create a lot of problem? The reason, you see, our thinking, not sort of wise or related with ahimsa, karuna. So therefore, now, this time, the 1,000-year-old India's sort of thought, karuna, ahimsa, now must was they not only preserve, must sort of revive, and on the basis of secular way. Other country, you see, different tradition, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and so on. That's their personal religion. But as far as concept of ahimsa and karuna is concerned, is common for every human being. So now, I always feel India in modern time. Now look, India, I think two most populated nations, China and India. This country, comparatively, very peaceful. And all major world religious traditions live together in this land. For example, you see, in Muslim country, Shia and Sunni fighting. In this country, I never heard problem between Indian Shia and Sunni. Like that, I never heard. When I heard our neighboring country, some problem between Shia and Sunni, I surprised. So therefore, the India's 1,000-year-old tradition, you see, ahimsa, karuna, is the really basis of happy society, happy country. So now, India should pay more attention and show rest of the world the religious harmony and according principle of ahimsa and karuna. So now our Indian brothers, sisters, is now in previous century, Mahatma Gandhi ji, you see, show world ahimsa. Now I think we follow that and combine with karuna. And then secular way, you see these different philosophical sort of also the ideas. Now India's philosophy is that nothing exists objectively, independently. It is very close sort of thinking. The kasa.
Quantum physics.
Oh, quantum physics. You see, quantum physicists, they say nothing exists as appears, the external thing, material thing. So there is a big gap, appearance and reality. That's a quantum physicists, they say. That's very important. You see, most of the negative emotion, such as anger or jealousy, too much attachment, you see, these, you see, based on appearances. So, in order to reduce these negative, strong emotion, which is based on appearances, thinking deeper line, then nothing exists as appears. That's exactly the Indian ancient philosophy mentioned that. Like late Raja Ramana, once he told me the quantum physics in the West, it is new. But this country, he told me, over 2,000 years ago, already developed the quantum physics. And then he recite some Nagarjuna's, some verses of Nagarjuna's text. It is very true, very true. So India, in these deeper level, in order to tackle emotion, a subtle way, I think India's tradition is very useful, very helpful. And meantime, on a secular way. So now that I always see now telling these days, for example, hygiene of physical already exists on this planet, much sort of developed. Now hygiene of emotion, only India's tradition, including other religion also. There's other religion, not much talk about, you see, what's the mental, how's the kasa?
Mental hygiene.
The
Hygiene of emotion.
hygiene of emotion. Ka, right? So now, as I mentioned earlier, now the world really facing some crisis about emotion. So in such sort of case, India's 1,000-year-old tradition can help through education way, not religious way, strictly based on secular. So one of my commitment is a revival of these ancient Indian knowledge, how to take care of peace of mind on the basis of ahimsa and karuna. Now, I'm sort of fully committed revival of these ancient Indian knowledge or secular way. So now, questions. Now questions. Any question?
Yes. Thank you so much for the answer. And for the first question, I would like to invite Srijan Nayak from Delhi Technological University, India, to ask his question.
Greetings, His Holiness. My question is, although the purpose of education is to gain knowledge, I can't just help thinking of marks when I see others scoring higher. How do we aim for gaining knowledge from the education, refraining from succumbing to the competition?
Kharsa.
이제 롭존 장야디 수수로 신윤 자야 치더라. 신윤 등산다지 젠즈고 왕기다지 자자야 보내야 딜라 슈슈자가 크라인 딜라 슈자 쇼도 시게 마시에 탑시 지 젠드루 젠센티 메베치신 롭존 장야 탑시.
The sense of competition, you see, actually two kind. One, you see, in order to promote knowledge among students, among people, you see, you try to be first, top, and show them, and to pursue them. That kind of competition is positive. Another negative competition, in order to you become first, actually create a problem to other, try to cause behind. That's wrong. So every human action, you see, much depend on motivation. Since sincere motivation, compassionate motivation, combined with wider perspective, then so sometimes action appears a little bit negative, but because of motivation and utilize the wisdom, so then it could be very positive, very helpful. Okay. So competition is necessary, particularly when we study the philosophy or logic, including myself, when I carry final examination, there's some kind of I should be first, and other they try to sometimes to see even cleverness, a little bit cheating also. So these are basically, you see, sincere motivation and good purpose, no problem. Okay. And you see, Dignac and Dharmakirti, this logical sort of approach, you see, if you're too honest, then the difficult. So you should be more clever, according to the debater sort of thinking, debater's thinking. Then accordingly, sometimes you need little sort of cleverness. I also do that. Like that. So, so all this depend on motivation. Okay. Then next question.
Thank you, His Holiness. The next question is from Bhartendra Dubey, a student from JP Institute of Information Technology, Noida.
Greetings, His Holiness. My question is, what is the relation between physical and mental wellness, and how do we obtain a balance of both in our lives? Thank you.
Physical health, mental health, very close link. We usually say the physical health, some part, your blood, your sort of certain physical element not balanced, then difficult. But you see the physical now, for example, the high blood pressure, very much related with mental peace. Mentally, peace, not much anxiety, not much sort of fear. Then the blood pressure, these are very low. So, peace of mind, mental level, complete restful, that also you see great effect for physical health. Okay. So now these days, you see some illness because of too much anxiety, too much anger. So now, mental health, very sort of related with physical health. And some cases, of course, the physical illness disturb our mind. But many cases, mind peaceful. And then automatically body element also goes smoothly. Like that. Okay. So now, as I already mentioned, the Indian tradition is the logical way to keep karuna, ahimsa, is the best way to keep peace of mind. That automatically help physical health. Okay. I think I can, of course, not nice, but some relevant here. I'm now 87-year-old. 87-year-old. Whole my life, you see, difficult. When I was in Tibet, a lot of difficulties. And then India, when we reach India as a refugee, there are a lot of problems. And mainly, you see, inside Tibet, a lot of problems because of Chinese suppression. And one way, Chinese ruthless suppression, Chinese communist, and one way, Tibetan determined. But we, even you see, thinking towards the Chinese, those also the hardliner, as we consider them as a human brothers, sisters, and actually is our neighbor. For example, one Tibetan monk who spent 18 years in Chinese gulag, Chinese prison. I think in early 80, you see, he found opportunity come to here. Then we talk, since I know him before 59, I know him very well. So I asked him, what kind of life, 18 years in Chinese prison. He told me, occasionally he faced some danger. I thought danger on his life. Oh, what kind of danger? And his answer is danger losing compassion towards Chinese. So he feels, you see, keeping compassion towards your enemy is very essential. So he consider losing compassion towards the troublemaker, he consider very dangerous. So as a result, you see that person very peaceful. Like that. So the Shantideva, once you see, in his writing, he mentioned, your enemy is best teacher. You can practice patience and many good things from when you face some problem with your enemy. So enemy is best teacher. The Shantadeva's the
writing.
Bodhisattva
Charya Avatara.
Bodhisattva Charya Avatara mentioned like that. Actually, you see, training of our mind make distinction, destructive emotion and constructive emotion. Then constructive emotion is direct sort of weapon to reduce destructive emotion. So self-centered, selfish is the key factor for problem. For that, counterforce is altruism. As I already mentioned, you see, karuna, altruism, is the antidote of self-centered, selfish. Then another thing, the 1,000-year-old, you see, India's thinking. Things does not exist as sort of independently. The Sanskrit word patit samupad. Things exist due to a different factor, interdependency. So that concept very helpful, to reduce the things exist as appears, though appears something independent. The reality, due to other factor, including your own viewpoint, creates different reality. On that basis, then angers, attachment, fear, all these negative emotions, come. So therefore, these two practice. One we call upaya sight, that's karuna. One praja sight, nothing exists as appears, as independently exist. Things are interdependent. So these ancient Indian, also the knowledge, these very, very useful, to keep our mind calm. Even difficult circumstances, you can keep your mind calm. So as I mentioned briefly, I myself also student of these great Indian master. I practice, so I can keep peace of mind. When I heard some problem, some sort of suppression in Tibet, I can pray those Chinese officials, Heartland officials. I especially, pray for them. Like that. These are very helpful, to keep peace of mind. With that, it seems now I have no blood pressure, always low. That also some sort of connection, my peace of mind. Okay. I never touch tranquilizer. My mind always peace. All this, I believe, the Indian sort of thought, ahimsa, karuna, these really makes my mind more calm. That also, affect my physical condition. Okay. Now, next question.
Thank you, His Holiness. I would next like to invite Gitesh Budhiraj from Balbharti Public School, Pitampura, India, to ask his question.
Namaste, His Holiness. My question is, how can one be satisfied with what one has and not care about what others have got? Thank you.
I think the material things, including your own good name, all these, too much sort of grasping, my, that brings more trouble. So contentment is very important. Then, once you have the practice of contentment, then it's other sort of, kasota, longju
Wealth.
Others welfare, welsa,
Wealth. No.
then certainly no sort of desire or other sort of thing like that. So the firstly important, we should know the inner value. The material thing are secondary. If we too much emphasis about material value, or your own case, no contentment, always want, then since you too much sort of also the grasping the material thing, then others sort of material also sometimes you develop some desire like that. Okay. Now next.
To ask the next question, we have with us Julia Riley from Rice University, Houston, Texas.
Greetings, His Holiness. I have taken a class at university on Buddhism, and I'm learning about the middle way, which has really changed my view on life. However, I still have trouble reconciling absolute truth with relative truth and discerning when to interpret my life and the decisions I make through one lens or the other. If you have any wisdom about this conflict, I would love if you could share it.
Now you mentioned here true truth. Kasa.
Absolute.
Ka.
Absolute.
Absolute
and
truth
conventional.
and conventional truth. That is actually the mainly you see also the philosophical field is always make distinction truth. But then our daily sort of life. Now, for example, as I already mentioned, there is differences, appearance and reality. Now, reality we refer kasa,
Ultimate truth.
ultimate truth, and appearance is the
Conventional.
conventional truth. There also, you see, many different levels. You see, due to different sort of mental sort of investigation. Now, for example, now Indian, generally Indian tradition, Atma is more or less ultimate truth. So this also the usual sort of feeling of self is kasa.
Self is separate from
Kuzudaba,
conventional truth.
or conventional truth. Yes, this is here. Nobody deny, argue. But then the life after life. And also, you see, we usually, you see, we can easily say, this is my body, this is my mind, where is I? Now, there's a 1,000-year-old investigator, where is I? And since, you see, Indian tradition, previous life, this life, next life, so obviously this body at time of death no longer. So the Atma, the some sort of also the basis of identity of I, which is a more or less independent from this body, that we call Atma. Now, among Indian tradition, particularly as a Buddhist philosophy, where is Atma? So, it's a Buddhist belief, Anatma. Atma, Anatma. Anatma, no independent, also the I or self. But self designated on the combination of body and mind, particularly mind. Now here, the mind, the five senses of organs, then sixth mind, chit, mental mind,
mental consciousness.
ka,
Mental consciousness.
mental consciousness. So all these negative emotion, positive emotion, mainly is related with sixth mind, chit. So all emotions related with chit mind, the eye consciousness, hear consciousness, smell consciousness, all these are the something like also the service,
Like a medium.
like a medium, or you say the serving the main mind, chit. So these eye consciousness, ear consciousness, no self-sorversity, kasoda. No power to designate. Just you see, carry the message. Then sixth mind judge. This is good, this is bad. Then accordingly, too much grasping. And then dislike, anger, or jealousy, all these things happen. And something positive and attachment, like that. So the grasping things firstly appears, then grasping. With that, then chit, sixth mind, make distinction. This is something good, this is something bad. Then you see too much grasping. So chit mind, the final decision maker, like that. So now, roughly speaking, we should not sort of decide things existence as appears. Now, as quantum physicists say, we should not bother appearances. They must go deeper level. So we can say here, the true truth, superficial truth, and deeper level truth. Then, in religious field, as I mentioned earlier, Buddhism, anathema theory. Then a lot of sort of also a different conception about true truth. Because of the description or idea about the true truth, then firstly, Buddhism, non-Buddhism, like Jainism, very good. But there are differences. So within Buddhism, Vibhashek, Chitta Mantra, Sutrantik, and Chitta Mantra, and then Madhyamika. Within Madhyamika, there are Prasankika Madhyamika, and
Savatantrika Madhyamaka.
Sutrantik Madhyamika. So there are those Indian great thinker really, as a result of analyze, then different philosophy. You see, this the basis Buddha himself, you see, made. Then like Nagarjuna, Arya Asanga, these. Then you see there further sort of investigation, and then the subtle level of differences. And then also, you see these great Indian masters, they are quite blunt, like Chandrakirti. His philosophy is Nagarjuna's is a philosophy, nothing exists as appears. So he mentioned, now I can't translate, in Madhyamika Avatara, you see, he mentioned the subtle level of meaning of shunyata. Even some of those great Buddhist master, philosopher, like Bosuband and Dignac, and so on, you see, they also, you see, whether they abandon this philosophy or not, and he say, yes, they abandon. So when I read that passage, and I feel quite proud and quite happy. For me, this philosophy, I think very scientific, very realistic, and firstly, very similar, very close sort of link with quantum physics. So therefore, I always feel I'm the one student of Nagarjuna. And Chandrakirti. So if Chandrakirti, today Chandrakirti opportunity to meet, I think Chandrakirti, I think Kasur, patch.
No.
Pad.
Pad.
Oh, like that. Actually, you see, this thinking is the best weapon to reduce all negative emotion, ultimately ignorance. So ignorance, we believe things exist as appears. That develop that basis of grasping. So in order to reduce that nothing exists as appears. Things, just a mere mental designation. Nothing independently exists. So I also used to practice this daily. Morning, as soon as I wake up, I'm thinking, recite some of the sentence wrote by Chandrakirti. Chandrakirti. And combined with altruism. Very helpful, very helpful. Okay, and there is a story in Tibet. One, you see, thinker, investigate, thinking, where's I? Then finally, he found nothing. Then he touched, you see, his cloth or his body. Then he found there is something. Like that. So these are the Paticca thinking, Madhyamika philosophy. Extremely useful, very useful. The most powerful antidote to cut the ultimate ignorance. So these, my daily practice, the very important part of practice. Very good. I'm hoping if now Chandrakirti there or Nagarjuna there, I think they most probably, I think they, as I mentioned earlier, they pat me and encouraging me. They consider I am quite, intelligent student of this philosophy. Okay, these are not only knowledge, but you see, very powerful weapon to reduce negative emotion. Okay. Then next.
Thank you, His Holiness. The next question is from Kartik Ladha, a student from IIT Bombay, India.
Greetings, His Holiness. My question to you is, in correspondence to the COVID pandemic, global warming, human-made disasters, and political instability, as well as technological innovations, space explorations, medical advancements, we wish to ask that if we as humans are really making progress, or are we just creating bigger problems as we manage to solve the old ones?
Now these Kasota, illness, something new. Yes, certainly. You see, I think I'm not expert. You see these things, but I believe. You see, the world, also the whole galaxies, you see, there is beginning, so there is end. So now things are always changing. Now the global warming, now the many scientists now they really sort of also they recognize things are getting warmer, and there is a danger. Eventually, you see, Tibet will become also the desert. So Tibet, usually you see the whole. I think we can say whole Asia, major river come from Tibet. So Tibet, there are a lot of snow and high altitude. But now, within my own lifetime, when I was young, some of my friend, they say when they were young, say some mountain, more snow. Within my own lifetime, less and less. So now that's because of nature, also the
natural process.
Nature process, like that. So now we should pay more attention about ecology. Very important. Now UN also now saying, paying more attention, particularly the United Nations General Secretary. Wonderful. So now we have to, while we just carry busy life, then due to global warming, gradually now this water reduce and blue or say the land eventually a desert. So therefore, we have to pay some attention like that. So one of my commitment regarding Tibet, now preserve Tibetan ecology and Tibetan culture. The political matter, I already retired. The political matter, we have the elected political leadership. So my sort of responsibility is to preserve Tibetan culture, Tibetan sort of knowledge, which come from, as I mentioned earlier, from India. So now I think the great Nalanda Master's sort of thought we kept, so really worthwhile. And with that, Tibetan language also is the best language to describe these subtle philosophical views and psychology, these things. So that's my commitment, and preserve Tibetan ecology. I think material development, including science and technology, I think we should say these are useful, but should not go extreme way. See, sometimes you see expert, they only think they're on one field. So not much sort of concern about side effect. That's, I think, you should pay more attention for holistic way. Just you see, pay one. Now, for example, the nuclear physicist, one way is very expert, but then only think that way, and then a lot of fears, you see, bring. Something like that, our sort of thinking in different field, we should keep more holistic, not just one, like that. Okay. Now next.
The next question is from Garima Bhargav from ICAI, India.
Sure.
Greetings, His Holiness. My question is how to deal with fear of failure and control our thoughts by remaining in the ideal state of mind and deal with every panicking situation calmly without being scared. Thank you.
Through this way. Okay. I feel education, including about our inner world, our mind, our emotion. So here, the Buddhist psychology, the Nalanda tradition, you say about mind, about these different emotions, and each emotions, you see, the particular sort of causes and antidote, all these very detailed explanation in according the Buddhist psychology. So that's this way.
저것도 말해.
Oh,
장만네 답시 당 신앙계
가.
신앙다 데 용해 내수 용도 시신아 지모 시대간에 동네잖아.
so also fear. Oh, there are fears with reason, with need. But meantime, you see, many cases just our own exaggeration and fear. Here we need, like you see, Buddhist also the philosophy say, the negative side, then antidote side. Right? Oh. Like fear out of anger, killing, like that. Then also the counterforce, compassion, forgiveness, these things. So this way.
没错的了。
然后说军呢，sem来面昂内头等，显然冷的。All these, I think now this country in here, the Shanta Deva's book, Kasa,
Bodhisattva Jaya Avatara.
Kasa, Bodhisattva
Jaya Avatara.
Jaya Avatara. Now Hindi translation available, English translation available. Then, since I came India, in Lhasa, you see, teaching of that book quite rare. After I reached India, you see, I received, you see, the oral transmission, the Shantadeva's book. Now, 6th chapter, about, you see, how to sort of develop, how to useful patience and intolerance and how harmful, anger, how harmful is antidote tolerance. Wonderful sort of the presentation. Then 8th century, 8th chapter, altruism is wonderful. The self-centered attitude is the key factor for problem. So now, when we face some problem, then you see, think whether there is a way to overcome that fear or not. If you see, if you find, if there is sort of possibility to overcome these sort of negative thing which you feel fear, then no use to my sort of fear. Make effort for counterforce. Then those things which in any way ultimately you have to face, no way to overcome, then no use too much fear. It's quite simple. The Shantadeva's book, you see, mentioned like that. So I also, you see, practice that. When I face some problem, analyze. Oh, this problem can overcome. Then, you see, instead of fear or demoralized, no, determined. If you see things beyond our control and because no possibility to overcome, then no use too much worry. Okay. Then next,
Thank you, His Holiness. To ask the question next, I would like to invite Sean Evans from the University of Gloucestershire, England.
Greetings, His Holiness. I hold compassion as hugely important, but I question where one draws the line with how we act on compassion. In my life, I often come across situations when I feel like helping someone, but doing so would hamper my own progress and work. What should be done in such situations?
Kosa. Basically, we are social animal. So, from birth, our life depends on others' compassion. Firstly, from our mother, then eventually family member, and our neighbor, and now today, the whole world, the future of individual depend on the world human groups. So therefore, now they help other and try to reduce other sort of problem is indirectly best way to preserve your own interest, because whole your life depend on other. So taking care about other is indirectly taking care of yourself. You see, anger, anger, then creates all your neighbor. You see something negative, then finally you suffer. So taking care about all your neighbor, then when you face some problem, you can ask, you see, also help this, you see, your neighbor. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, we are a social animal. All individual life entirely depend on, care of others. So now today's world, the global, for example, global economy and global ecology, all these very much depend on other. So now, these days I'm expressing, we really need a sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. So I'm part of that. In order to individual yourself be happy life, you see, you should pay realistic way to deal with other people, like that. Okay. Sometimes I telling, and also you see feel, the best way to selfish way, to take care of yourself, best way is to take care of other. It's the best way to take for your own self, because your whole life, you see, depend on other. Even to some extent, even animals, birds also you see have limited thinking. You see, for their own interest, for their own survival, you see, taking care, they are a group like that. Now, next.
For the final question of the session to His Holiness, I would like to invite Kunal Bhatt from Mumbai University, India.
Greetings, His Holiness. My question is, since Buddhism does not believe in the presence of a supernatural God, what are the thoughts of His Holiness on God's existence?
Certainly, as I mentioned earlier, you see different religion, different philosophy. Even Buddha himself, you see, also give teaching according different people whose different mental disposition. So sometimes Buddha also, you say, kasa, kulko bona kasa ko, then ko kasa. Pungbugane, kulko bona kasa ko. See, even Buddha's own word, this body is sort of our burden. The carrier, this burden is self. So it seems, you see, this body, and I is something complete separate. So it's a Buddha. Is stated according some people's sort of mental disposition. Then some cases Buddha say no I, no self. Make distinction as already we discussed, truth, these things. So now there are different people according sort of different mental disposition. To some people, the creator, God, very helpful, very good. So I always was telling the Christianity or some Hindus, the creator believe, but Jainism not sort of that kind of faith, and Buddhism also no that kind of sort of concept. So otherwise, Muslim, Allah, and Judaism also. So therefore, you see, that concept also very good. Nobody say God full of anger. No say God loving kindness. We are children of that kind of Father, God full of love. So we should be helping each other, loving each other, because we all children of same Father. So that concept also is very helpful. We all created by one God, that God full of love, and we all children of that kind of Father, loving kind, also Father. So that's very good, very powerful. And according to Buddhism, you are your own master. That also is thinking one way, very good. But one way, Buddha say, you are your own master. Whatever I like, I can do. So all these great thinkers teach us according different people, different mental position. Some people, the creator, concept of creator is wonderful, very good. Okay. Finish.
Thank you so much for the insightful and enlightening answers, His Holiness. We pray Ahimsa and Karuna be revived globally in these difficult times for our world. Now, I would like to hand over to Ashay Lee.
Namaste, His Holiness. We are really highly honored to have had the privilege of hosting you at TechFest this year. Your words were truly inspiring and they certainly struck a chord among us all. They made us look inwards and think more deeply about spirituality and human condition. Now, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to His Holiness on behalf of the entire team of TechFest, IIT Bombay community, as well as our viewers and participants from across the globe.
Then I want to share some sort of story. South Africa Archbishop Tutu, I really respect him. I really love him. Since we know each other very close, so sometimes, I mean, he even used to come to Dharamsala, and a few days we discuss like that. So then, since we know each other very well, and meantime, so respect each other. So therefore, one occasion, he jokingly told me, he as a Christian, believe God. So he ready go to heaven. Dalai Lama, non-believer. So Dalai Lama go something different place. So he hint, he go to heaven because believe God. Dalai Lama, no faith, God, creator, so sinful, go to hell. Then I told, you see, this story, one occasion, some group of people, and some of them told, as a response to me, you see, wherever Dalai Lama go, even hell, they want to go together. So, I respect Christianity, as I mentioned earlier, wonderful. But you see, whole world created by God. There are a lot of problems. Our world. Why God creates that full of problem, that world full of problem, full of suffering? Why? So difficult. So India's concept of karma, one's own action, due to all these the suffering, these are due to one's own negative karma. So theory of karma, very good. Karma means action. So all good, bad depend on one's own action. It's a good action, helping other, serving other, you see, you get benefit. If you harm other, if you create suffering other, you will suffer. So either you accept God, creator, wonderful, or no, the Indian tradition, like Jainism and Buddhism, no creator, but everything depends on one's own action. Like that. So, thank you. I really very much enjoy now discussion with our Indian friend. So, I'm the guest of Indian government now over 87 years I live here, and then another, I think at least 1 decade or 2 decades, I will remain here in this country. So we can have some opportunity discuss. And I am thinking seriously now this illness reduce, then I'm very, very eager go to Delhi or Bombay, Calcutta and Bangalore. You see, meet some Indian education sort of scholars and how to develop in modern Indian education, modern education mainly related with external thing. So ancient Indian education about mind, these are there. So India can combine the existing modern education in this country very good. Now, ancient Indian knowledge about mind, about emotion, this must combine. Academic level, a secular way. So that I'm sort of seriously thinking. So more detailed discussion with educationists among Indian different universities. So I'm thinking very seriously. And some of you also, you see, also have this sort of,
opportunity.
Opportunity, or you see, have the same responsibility to combine modern education and ancient Indian education combined, strictly secular way. Then India, I think, can make a certain significant contribution to whole world like that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Holiness, for your kind words. We will await your arrival at IIT Bombay sometime soon too. Thank you to the attendees for being a wonderful audience, and may you and your loved ones stay well.
가셨어요? Thank you.